Hi, I'm Chris Anderson, and I will be your English teacher today. So, to begin the lesson, a question. Do you laugh? I hope so. Do your friends laugh? And when people laugh, how do they feel? In general, I think we can say when people laugh, they feel good. Or at least I hope so. Now, the reason I ask you these strange questions is because I want to get you thinking about how to explain things that are generally true. Now, there are many ways to do this, but one way we can do this is by using the zero conditional. Now, the zero conditional, and in fact any conditional sentence, uses the word if. For example, if people laugh about something, they feel better. So as you can see here, we've got if, we've got present simple, then later on we've got a comma, very important to remember the comma, and then present simple again. So we've got two sentences joined together because actually what we're talking about when we use the zero conditional is cause and effect. So in this case, if people laugh about something, how do they feel? Well, they feel better. So we've used present simple twice because we're talking about things that are in general true. So another example, if he goes to bed late, he doesn't enjoy the next day. So when we're using the negative, we use the auxiliary don't or doesn't with the verb to create the negative verb. So in this case, if he goes to bed late, he doesn't enjoy the next day. This is true of this person. So if he doesn't go to bed on time, the next day is bad for him. This is always true for him. If it doesn't work, don't try again. So we're being very clear here, both times negative. It's not working, stop trying. A general truth that we've explained using the zero conditional. If they don't go home soon, I don't know what to do. Now this suggests that this has happened possibly before or regularly, but again, this person has no idea what to do if these people don't leave their house soon. Now, another feature of the zero conditional, we can make it stronger. If, in fact, is a very sort of imaginative word. If they don't go home, meaning they might not, I don't know what to do in general. Now, another change we can make to conditional sentences, not just zero, but all of them, is using when. Now, if we look at these two sentences to compare, if I go home, I listen to music. When I go home, I listen to music. There's quite a big difference here. Unfortunately, for the speaker of this first sentence, the idea of going home is sort of a distant possibility. It's an imaginative thing. If I go home, meaning maybe they won't be going home. Whereas, when I go home, I listen to music. This describes the process of when I always go home, this is what I always do, meaning for this lucky speaker at the bottom, the chance of going home is much stronger for them. And what will they do when they get home? Well, they always listen to music. So, what comes after zero? 1. And now we're going to look at the first conditional. So in the way that the zero conditional deals with the here and now, things that can always be true or things that in general can be said to be true, the first conditional is slightly different. And to sort of get you thinking about first conditional situations in the right way, what I'd like you to do is imagine somebody has got angry near you. Would this affect you? Would this change your behavior and influence what you do next? Probably. If a man was shouting in your face, would you react? I think I would. So we use the first conditional to describe cause and effect moving from present into the future. For example, if he shouts, I will get angry. So you can see here, in the first half of the conditional sentence, we're still using the present simple and we're still using if, but in the second half we've made a slight change. And with this change in the form comes a change in the meaning. So in this case, we've used will for future prediction. So if he shouts, I will get angry. Now, another thing to remember with the first conditional is this is not necessarily a real situation yet. So in the case of this man, maybe he isn't shouting yet. But if he does, what will you do next? Well, if the man shouts, I will get angry. So again, if I don't get paid in the present, I might not go out. So again, we're still using the future. This time we're using might as in we're 50-50, so less certain, but again, we're talking about cause and effect. How does the present influence the future? Possibly. If the weather is sunny, we could go to the beach. So again, if the weather changes at the moment, what are the possibilities? What could we do later? If she isn't happy, we could buy her a present. So again, we've got the negative this time. If she's not happy at the moment, what could we do in the future to make her happier? So, question forms. We can use conditionals to make questions, and they would look something like this in zero and first conditionals. So for example, if you hear the alarm, do you wake up? Now the good thing about this question is it's asking somebody about their daily routine, something they always do in a slightly different way. In the first conditional, if you have time, will you visit her? So again, it works in the same way. We're asking somebody about the situation at the moment and the possibilities for the future. In this case, visiting somebody. So far, we've looked at two conditionals in the English language. We've looked at zero and first. We've looked at zero in terms of the form, if plus present and present, to talk about things that are true in general or always true. We've also talked about how when can be used in conditional sentences to make things more certain. Remember, if you remember, if I go home versus when I go home. Well, the person saying when I go home is probably happier because they're going to be going home sooner. Then we looked at first conditional. First conditional, remembering, is if with present and then future forms, maybe might, maybe could, probably will, in terms of talking about how the situations at the moment can influence the future, possibly. So by combining all of these things, you can talk about situations now and in the future in quite complicated ways. And to check that you've understood the lesson and to check you've understood everything we've been talking about here, you can now do the exercises that always follow the video. Good luck!